issues that matter. King 5 News up front.
That I will be a candidate for the presidency of the United States.
Bob Barr announced his campaign for president last spring. The former four-term Republican congressman from Georgia had already split from the GOP. Barr, a former federal prosecutor, says he opposes a Patriot Act as a violation of due process. Barr was one of the leaders of the impeachment of former President Bill Clinton and the first congressman to call for Clinton's resignation.
With his conduct and his arrogance, William Jefferson Clinton has thrown a gauntlet at the feet of the Congress.
Welcome back. Let's find out more about Bob Barr. Earlier, he spoke to King 5's Alan Schaffler.
You're a candidate for president. I have one vote. Why should I spend it on you? You have 30 seconds or so to make a campaign speech.
You should vote for Bob Barr on the Libertarian ticket first and foremost because we stand for freedom and shrinking the size of government and maximizing individual liberty, putting money in your pocket and control within your reach. The two other major parties, the Republican and Democrat, you vote for them, it's a wasted vote because at the end of the day, nothing will change if you vote for them.
I notice on your website you lay out your positions on, I think it was 16 different issues, different major issues facing the people of this country. And on every one of those pages, the headline is, "The answer is less government." Is that the biggest plank in your platform?
It certainly is. At the root of all of the problems that we have in society, or virtually all of them, lies the hand of government. Simply take the housing problems that we're facing right now. That is predicated and premised largely because government has been pushing and pushing and pushing home ownership and has been pushing Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac to buy up mortgage paper, and this encourages banks to let out more mortgages, and people at a higher and higher risk entered the home market or moved up to a higher home than they could really afford, and then the bottom dropped out of it. Government is behind it, and of course now Senators Obama and McCain both want the federal government to come in and bail Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac out.
Now, you, as a part of the Republican Revolution in the 90s, you authored the Defense of Marriage Act, which was signed into law by Bill Clinton. You've since repudiated that, saying the feds shouldn't be involved in that kind of decision. It should be left up to the states. You were an anti-drug campaigner. Now you're saying you shouldn't have attacked the concept of medical marijuana. You were a Republican. Many people know you that way. Now you're not. People might be a little confused out there about who Bob Barr is and what he stands for. How are you dealing with that as you campaign?
Well, they're certainly not confused about where Bob Barr stands for in this election with the Libertarian Party. We stand for such things as allowing states to make decisions with regard to medicinal marijuana. It's not the job of the federal government to come in and tell a state that it can't do that or to criminalize behavior that a state has decided is appropriate behavior. We also believe, and I also believe, that it is not the job of the federal government to define marriage for the states. That is something, and this is in fact reflected still in the Defense of Marriage Act. It's up to the states to make those decisions.
You have virtually no chance of winning this thing. Anybody, any political observer would agree with that. Virtually no shot at becoming president. So why do it? What's the value in your candidacy?
Well, first of all, we do it because this is America, and Americans ought to encourage and be pleased that there are people willing to put themselves forward to provide a real choice for America. And Americans are responding to that. There was a poll recently conducted by Zogby International, for example, that asked the American people if they wanted and they thought it was appropriate to have Bob Barr, as a Libertarian candidate, included in the presidential debates. 55% of those polls said yes, they want an open debate. This is the problem with the closed status quo two-party system that we have. New ideas don't get heard, they don't get vetted, people don't see and get to ask the real tough questions. Senator Obama and Senator McCain, there is a great deal of rhetorical difference between the two of them, but at the end of the day, such as this Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac bailout, they come together because they are both part of the status quo.
As a Republican congressman, you led the fight to impeach then-President Clinton. Do you still feel that was the right move, or do you look back on that and see it differently now?
Never see it differently when a high public official deliberately violates the law, as the former president did. He committed perjury and obstruction of justice. These go to the heart of whether or not our justice system in this country will have any credibility. You can't have people perjuring themselves and obstructing justice and then expect other people to obey the law.
Democrats in 2000 were furious with Ralph Nader when he announced that he was going to run as a third-party candidate. They were worried about him siphoning off votes from their candidate. Could you have the same impact in this race, except with the GOP?
I actually get a kick out of the way the Republicans are now already whining about losing the election and finding a scapegoat, and they might blame it on Bob Barr, the same as the Democrats back then blamed their own deficiencies on Ralph Nader, and they're doing it again this time. They're saying, oh, Ralph Nader is out there as an independent candidate and he'll take votes from us. You know, it's time, I think, in America that these two major parties, which get millions of dollars from the taxpayers to run their campaigns and their conventions every year, are at least man enough to stand up and say, look, we have an agenda or a platform, or we don't, and we want to be elected. They should rise or fall on their own. Our votes are not going to come out of Senator McCain's hide or Senator Obama's. They're going to come from disaffected Republicans and disaffected Democrats and independents who are not going to vote for Senator McCain or Senator Obama in the first place.
And you'll be on the ballot in 47 states, is that correct?
That probably at the end of the day will be where we are. We have challenges still pending in a couple of states, but we'll probably be on the ballot in 47, 48 states.
We continue this debate online. Tell us what you think. Is Bob Barr a candidate you would consider voting for? Can he tip the balance in the presidential race? Type in king5.com/upfront.